The average worker in Singapore earns around 70,000 Singapore dollars a year before tax. That sounds like a comfortable amount of money, right? In one of the most prosperous countries on earth, you should be thriving. But here is the raw, uncomfortable truth. After your compulsory central provident fund deductions, after your housing loans or rent, after public transport, groceries, bills, and that dreaded 9% goods and services tax, the average Singaporean is left with almost nothing in cash. And the official statistics prove it. Today, we are going to walk through the shocking money stats of the average Singaporean. The raw, unfiltered truth about how much we earn, how much we spend, how much we save, and how much we owe. Let us start with what the average person actually earns. According to the Ministry of Manpower, the median gross monthly income from employment for a full-time resident is 5,775 Singapore dollars. That works out to roughly $69,300 a year. But that headline number is a massive illusion because it includes employer central provident fund contributions. If you strip those out, the actual gross salary drops to 5,000 Singapore dollars a month, or $60,000 a year. Now, let us apply the mandatory 20% employee contribution to your central provident fund. Suddenly, your actual monthly take-home pay shrinks to exactly 4,000 Singapore dollars. Hold that $4,000 number in your mind, because we are about to see where every single dollar goes. Housing is the single biggest consumer of wealth in Singapore. Over 80% of the population lives in public housing flats built by the Housing and Development Board. While public housing is heavily subsidized, price appreciation has pushed resale flat prices through the roof, with many 4-room and 5-room flats routinely selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some even crossing the $1 million mark. If you try to step up to private property, an entry-level condominium costs at least 1.5 million Singapore dollars. Under the Monetary Authority of Singapore rules, a home loan requires a 25% down payment, of which at least 5% must be paid in cash. That is $75,000 in hard cash for a standard condo down payment. For renters, the reality is even more brutal. The average monthly private rent for a flat has skyrocketed, with typical private rentals ranging between 3,500 and 4,500 Singapore dollars a month. This means housing alone can easily consume over half of the median take-home pay of a working adult. So, after paying for a roof over your head, what is left? Not much. And the official household balance sheets prove it. On paper, the average Singaporean resident household net worth appears massive at 1,755,000 Singapore dollars. But this average is a complete lie because it is heavily skewed by a tiny group of ultra-wealthy individuals at the top. The top 20% of Singaporean households hold an average net wealth of 5,264,000 Singapore dollars, while the bottom 20% hold just $293,000. If you look at the median net worth per adult, the true midpoint, it is just 134,308 Singapore dollars. Even more shocking is the asset-rich, cash-poor paradox. Over 70% of the average Singaporean household's net worth is completely locked up and illiquid, trapped inside their home equity and their central provident fund accounts. When you look at actual liquid investable cash outside of property and CPF, the average family is left with very little. In fact, 60% of workers in Singapore are actively living paycheck to paycheck, according to the ADP People at Work report. This is the highest rate of paycheck to paycheck living in the entire Asia-Pacific region, completely outpacing the regional average of 48%. Then we have to talk about what keeps Singaporeans awake at night. Debt. Total consumer loans in Singapore have grown steadily, climbing to over 365 billion Singapore dollars. The average household carries a massive burden of debt, with the total household debt to gross domestic product ratio sitting at 54.1%. While a large portion of this is tied to mortgages, credit card debt and personal loans have been rising. The average credit card interest rate is massive, and if you are only paying the minimum sum on your cards, you are losing hundreds of dollars every month to interest charges that do not reduce your actual balance. Now let us look at the retirement cliff. According to comprehensive research from the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, the minimum income standard for a single elderly person in Singapore is 1,492 Singapore dollars a month just to meet basic, dignified needs.
For a single parent with one child, that basic standard requires $3,369. Yet, the government's Silver Support Scheme for low-income seniors pays a maximum of just $360 a month. This leaves a massive, stressful deficit of over $1,000 a month that seniors must find elsewhere. Shockingly, the research estimates that 30% of working households in Singapore earn less than what is required to meet these basic standards. Yet, only 54% of Singaporeans have actually started making any plans for their retirement, according to the OCBC Financial Wellness Index. So what do we actually do with these shocking numbers? You cannot fix what you do not understand. First, you must break the earn-spend loop by knowing your exact numbers. Open your banking apps, look at your statements for the last 90 days, and calculate the exact gap between what comes in and what went out. Second, build a liquid cash buffer outside of your central provident fund. Aiming for an emergency fund of 20,000 Singapore dollars parked in a high-yield savings account or Singapore savings bonds is your absolute insurance policy against life's unexpected expenses. Third, aggressively clear any high-interest debt. Paying off credit card debt or personal loans is the mathematical equivalent of earning a guaranteed, completely tax-free 26% return on your money. Fourth, automate your savings. Set up a direct transfer on payday so your cash moves before you can spend it. And fifth, actively utilize tax-advantaged accounts like the Supplementary Retirement Scheme. Opening an SRS account before the statutory retirement age officially rises to 64 on the 1st of July 2026 locks in your penalty-free retirement withdrawal age of 63 for life, giving you a massive head start on early retirement. These statistics are not meant to discourage you. They are meant to wake you up. The average person in Singapore is asset-rich but cash-poor, drowning in property debt and sleepwalking toward a retirement they cannot afford. But the fact that you are watching this means you are already thinking differently. You have the tools, you have the math, and now you have the plan to break the cycle. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.